Okay, you have the floor.
Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen, depending from where you are connecting from. I welcome you all to today's Green webinar organized by Greeny Heart to commemorate the International Women and Girls in Science Day. Okay, before I proceed, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Enwela Mary Ann Ujunwa, and I'll be your host for today. Okay, before I bring up our amiable guest speaker, on behalf of those just hearing about Greeny Hard, let me seize this opportunity to introduce you all to Greeny Hard. Greeny Hard is a short form for Green Initiative for Humanitarian Aid and Development. Greeny Hard is a non-governmental and non-profit organization with our headquarters at Maiduguri, Nigeria. Okay, talking about our members, Greeny Heart is a team of energetic humanitarians, nature conservationists, environmentalists, community volunteers, health experts, to mention but a few, who in one way or the other came together with their expertise to employ an environmental friendly solution in approaching developmental and humanitarian actions. Also, while sustaining socially and gender equality. Okay, talking about the vision of Greeny Heart envisages a healthy, poverty-free, and socially equal society with high environmental consciousness. So without wasting much of our time, let me see this opportunity to bring up our guest speaker for today. She is a highly motivated and enthusiastic forester and researcher. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Annie Biju. Annie Biju, the floor
Hi,
is
everyone.
open.
I hope you are audible.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for the invite and thank you for the introduction. And I'm so happy to be here on the behalf of International Day of Women and Science and Technology. Thank you for the invite. So, without
You're
much
welcome.
delay, I'll get on to my presentation. Is it fine? I'll be turning off my cameras for the presentation so that the network connectivity is stable. Is my screen visible?
Yes. Yes, your screen is visible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Annie Biju, and today, on this joyous occasion of Women and Girls in Science and Technology Day, I'll be presenting a short presentation on women and science with a focus on forestry. So, before we start, a brief introduction to myself. My name is Annie Biju. I am from India, and I am presently a research scholar at Forest Research Institute, Dehradun. I also serve as the coordinator for Joint IFRO Task Force on Forest Education. My focus with IFRO is on promoting education and also facilitating and motivating students, connecting forestry students with forestry professionals. These all include under my task as the coordinator for Joint IFRS Task Force. So let me begin with a short introduction on women in science and technology. Women have made groundbreaking discoveries and innovations in science and technology, engineering and mathematics fields, from Marie Curie's radioactivity research to Katherine Johnson's calculations for Apollo missions. While disparities persist, The number of women pursuing STEM degrees and careers is steadily growing and leading to a more diverse and vibrant scientific community. The aim of the presentation is to inspire women across Africa and the world to join STEM fields so that they can serve as role models for the younger generation, also breaking down stereotypes and encouraging girls to pursue their scientific interests. Now, on the main focus of this presentation, which is on forestry. So let me begin with a short introduction into the importance of forestry. As we know, forests provide three basic services, which has economical benefits, environmental benefits, as well as sustainable benefits. So under the economic benefits, we use timber, which is resourced from the forest for economic purposes, for commercial purposes. As for the environmental benefits, we all know that forests help in climate change mitigation, biodiversity conservation, soil and water conservation, air quality, and so and so. Now, moving on to the social benefits. Millions of people around the world rely on forests for income through their timbers, non-timber forest products, and also tourism. It provides resources to a number of people around the world, not just timber and pulpwood, but also food, livestock, etc. It also helps in creation of jobs, whether it is in logging or in forest-related education, forest management, etc. What is the percentage of women who are engaged in forestry? When we look at the global terms, only 20 to 30% of women are engaged in forestry. And when we come to the developed countries, it is only 25%. And in the developing countries, the representation is lower than that, often less than 10% or even less. And in the case of Africa, the percentage of women pursuing forestry is only about 8%. And it is also due to the less number of women engaged in forestry-related academic programs, such as undergraduate programs, which only 30 to 40% of women are globally enrolled, while in graduate courses, only 40 to 50% are engaged. Now, when we break down into the occupation in which women are enrolled, we can see that women are more concentrated in certain forestry fields, such as environmental education and outreach, urban forestry, community forestry, and policy and science related areas. Also, we can see women's participation in community forestry, harvesting, forest pathology, etc. Although women are involved in a lot of activities related to forest, only 13% of women are CEOs globally. And it is an alarming percentage. And even lesser than 20% are engaged in senior management positions within forestry. The reason for this low number of women in forestry is due to a lot of issues, which we will be discussing in the further slides. Now, coming on to why it is important for women to be engaged in forestry. When we see the first point, which is improved decision making, it is very important that diverse perspectives are needed for comprehensively understanding forest ecosystems and challenges so that we can foster better solutions. It is also important to have enhanced sustainability. It has been often understood that women prioritize long-term sustainability and community involvement, contributing to responsible forest management. Now, when we move on to the third point, we can see that diverse teams foster creativity and generate new ideas for tackling complex forestry issues. Also, women can improve communication within scientists or even within all focal points involved in forestry. Understanding the needs and priorities of different groups, including women who rely on forest for subsistence, leads to be more inclusive and effective forest policies. Now, coming on to the social and economical advantages. First is the empowerment of women. Increased participation in forestry provides women with economic opportunities, improves livelihood, and promotes gender equality. Also, women play crucial roles in rural communities, and their involvement in the forest benefits their families and societies as a whole. Gender inclusive forestry practices contribute to achieving sustainable development goals related to poverty reduction, food security, climate action, and gender equality. If you refer FAOs, you can see all the contributions made by women towards social and economic advantages in the community. Now, how do we break what are the stereotypes and challenges faced by the woman, and how do we break them? This is a discussion which we need to focus on a broad scale. Preconceived notions about women's capabilities in traditionally male-dominated fields create barriers. Women may face difficulties accessing training programs, scholarships, and career advancements due to this stereotype and bias. Also, another issue faced by women is the work-life balance. Demanding field work and long hours can create challenges for women balancing work and family responsibilities. And lastly, traditional land tenure systems and cultural norms can limit women's participation in forestry management. Even in spite of these challenges and barriers, what opportunities do women have in forestry? Women usually can be very good foresters, educationers, and policymakers. Also, when we move on to women's involvement in African forestry, we can see that women are often responsible for collecting fuel wood, wood, medicinal plants, among other things from the forest, contributing to household sustainability and healthcare. They engage in forest-based income generation activities like collecting and selling non-wood timber forest products like fruits and nuts and medicinal herbs. They also hold a huge depository of traditional knowledge about forest management and biodiversity, passed down through generations. And women's involvement in formal forestry sectors is increasing, but still faces challenge. Now we move on to the impacts and benefits of women's involvement in forestry. Their presence and active participation in forestry bring multiple positive impacts on various levels, making their contributions crucial for a sustainable future of the forest sectors. Some of the key examples include environmental impacts, where women often prioritize long-term sustainability forestry practices, leading to increased biodiversity conservation and reduced ecological impacts. Also, community-based approaches made by women help in fostering inclusivity and collaborative decision-making for responsible forest management. Lastly, women can also play the role of entrepreneurs in developing innovative solutions in areas like sustainable harvesting, processing, and product development. Increased participation in forestry leads to women's empowerment, strengthens their decision-making powers, and promotes gender equality within communities. It also helps in improving food security, where women often manage household food security through forest resources, ensuring better access to nutritious food and promoting sustainable use of food products. And women also help in enhancing community development, where they foster social cohesion, communication, and collaboration within communities, leading to improved social fabric and well-being. Additional positive impacts made by women include enhanced conflict resolution, where women's communication skills and community engagement contribute to resolving conflicts over forest resources and promoting peaceful resource management. Women also help in improved data collection and research, where women's perspectives and local knowledge enrich data collection and research in forestry, leading to more comprehensive and nuanced understandings. They also help in increased public awareness and engagement, as women often serve as effective advocates for forest conservation and sustainability, raising public awareness and promoting responsible forest management. Now, we look into the key women who have played a role in forestry. First, we see Tabitha Babbitt, who deserves her place as a pioneer in forestry. She is claimed to be the inventor of the circular saw, where a circular blade is attached to a spinning wheel, creating a more efficient saw than the traditional whip saw. This invention impacted significantly in the timber industry and revolutionized the woodcutting practices. Beyond the circular saw, Babbitt reportedly contributed to developing various tools and devices used in the community, showcasing her innovative spirit and technical ingenuity. Now, when we move on to the second figure, Maria Sanford, she stands as a tall figure in the early days of women's involvement in forestry and conservation. She pioneered as a female professor in 1998, and she was the first woman to receive a full professorship at the University of Minnesota, teaching rhetoric and forest science. She was a champion of conservation, and through her career, she advocated for the protection and conservation of Minnesota's forests. She served as the president of Minnesota Federation of Women's Clubs and led the Save the Forest campaign in the early 1990s. Now, Maria Margaret was the first forest supervisor in the US Forest Services. In 1930, Abel became the first woman to hold this position, breaking barriers in a male-dominated field. She pioneered research in Appalachian forests, focusing on topics like forest regeneration, fire ecology, and the impact of grazing on forest health. Her work contributed to the development of sustainable forestry practices. She was also a skilled photographer, and through her research and forestry activities through extensive photography, she provided valuable insights into visual records of the Appalachian forest during the early 20th century. She was also an early advocate for sustainable forestry. Again, Margaret was the first woman forest officer appointed to the Colonial Agricultural Services in 1931. She conducted extensive research on tropical rainforest in British Guiana, focusing on forest ecology, silviculture, and management. She made significant contributions to understanding the regeneration of tropical forests and developed innovative silvicultural techniques for sustainable management. She published numerous scientific papers and books, sharing her knowledge and expertise with wider forestry community. She also pioneered in aerial photography for forest surveys and mapping in the tropics. She was the first one to establish first permanent sample plots in tropical rainforest to monitor forest dynamics. She also played a key role in developing the Tropical Forestry Action Plan of the Food and Agricultural Organization. She served as a mentor and advocate for women in forestry, inspiring countless others to pursue her career in the field. Now, when we look into the African women foresters, the most famous is Wangari Maathai, a visionary leader in forestry and environmentalism. Wangari Maathai, a Kenyan environmental activist and Nobel Prize laureate, dedicated her life to revitalization of forests and the empowerment of women in Kenya and beyond. Her name is synonymous with the Green Belt movement, an organization she founded in 1977, which has planted over 50 million trees across Africa. Matai recognized the critical connection between deforestation, poverty, and conflict. Deforestation led to soil erosion, decreased water availability, and loss of biodiversity, impacting the livelihood of the rural communities. By planting trees, the Greenbelt movement aimed to address these issues by restoring degraded landscapes, promoting peace and democracy. Christine Naya was a forester and founder of the Green Girls organization, which encourages girls' participation in environmental conservation. She engaged in planting trees within the communities, raising awareness about importance of healthy forests, promoting environmental education among women, among others. Now, how do these women take up a career in forestry? We need to encourage girls at a young age to pursue science and technology, not just forestry. And they need to have role models to look up to inspire them to take up these roles. Also, it is important that we create opportunities for girls to participate in science and technological activities. Another important challenge we need to overcome is to face the stereotypes which women encounter in science and technology and break them apart so that they are successful in their own careers. And some of the positive developments in the past few years are that women and girls are exposed to science and technology at a young age in schools. Science and mathematics, STEM, is an important curriculum in all school activities. They have role models to look up to. More additional resources related to women in forestry can be found on IUFRO website as well as Women and Natural Sciences and FAO websites. We also look into the educational initiatives which are provided in Africa as well as others around the world. Several organizations like the World Bank, FAO, and WIN offer scholarships and grants specially targeting women pursuing forestry degrees and training programs. One of the scholarships include that, which is basically for pursuing PhD or masters in Germany. Other one scholarship is Medford, which offers exchange programs for master students to do their masters in 2 universities across Africa, across Europe. Also, university initiatives like several universities in Africa are launching dedicated programs like MSc in Gender and Forestry. At Sokoke University of Agriculture in Tanzania, or the Women in Forestry Leadership program at the University of Stellenbosch in South Africa. Capacity development programs are often given by institutions like CIFOR and ICRAF, where they offer short-term courses and workshops focused on forest management, entrepreneurship, and leadership skills relevant to women in forestry. Other educational incentives also include international organizations for forestry, such as EFSA, where capacity development programs, external activities are all included. And when we move on to the community-based learning, we can see farmer field schools are interactive programs which provide practical knowledge on sustainable forest management practices and income generation activities tailored to monitor women's needs and contexts. We also offer mentorship programs where experienced women foresters with aspiring ones foster knowledge transfer, career guidance, and networking opportunities. Also, indigenous women knowledge exchange initiatives like the Indigenous Women's Network for Forest and Climate Change facilitate knowledge sharing and capacity building amongst women from diverse communities. Some of the examples of educational initiatives include the World Bank's African Forest Fund, FAO's Gender and Forestry Program, CIFOR's Forest and Tree and Gender in Africa project, Greenbelt Movement's Tree Sisters Program, Indigenous Women's Network for Forest and Climate Change. Now, what are the future prospects for women? Growing awareness and community commitment helps to reduce the gender gap in forestry and drive action from government, organizations, and individuals, which help to bridge the gap. Policies and legal frameworks. As more countries are adopting policies and laws promoting gender equality in forestry as well as in other STEM courses, it helps to create and enable a positive environment for women's participation. Educational initiatives, as mentioned above, also help in expanding access to education and training programs specifically designed for women in forestry, empowering them with necessary skills and knowledge. And technology and innovation, where we utilize digital tools and platforms which help to facilitate communication, access to resources, and networking opportunities for women in remote areas. With this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anibiji, for this wonderful presentation. It was very educative and inspiring too. Okay, I think now it's time for questions or comments or reactions. If you have any questions, the floor is open for you to ask. Thank you.
while others want to talk about their question, I would want to thank Annie for that wonderful presentation. And I really gained a lot from her presentation. However, like in Nigeria, I discovered the trends about women involving in sciences have actually changed. When you go to schools, irrespective of the courses in higher institutions in Nigeria, you discover that women are actually dominating almost all STEM courses, science and technology courses. For instance, here in our university, you will discover that women for the past several years, women have more population and academically are also doing well. So my question to Annie is, what actually motivated you? How did you get into science-based career? Personally, how did you get into it, and at what point were you motivated to pursue a career in science-based career, especially in forestry, where it's dominated by men? Thank you.
During my bachelor's, I did my bachelor's in botany. And during the career guidance courses, which we have in the second year, I got to know about the forestry courses and its impacts, its scope for career, and also about the Forest Research Institute, which is like the #1 institute in the country. So I got inspired during the talk, and from the third year, I really aspired to be able to do my master's from FRI, Dehradun, and I started working towards it. We had entrance exams, and I was blessed enough to clear it and be able to join FRI, because it opened a lot of doors, not just for my career, but also for networking, also for personality improvement, etc. As I was also introduced to IFSA, from where I got to know all you amazing people, like Alex, for example. The decision to be the coordinator for JTF came from his presentation, where he was presenting about the Young African Forestry Professionals book during the IFSs in 2020. And I was honestly inspired by his work. Then he and I are the same age, and he is inspiring a lot of people from Africa to join into forestry, and not just into forestry, but also take up global positions. So again, as I mentioned in my presentation, you need to have role models, and I'm glad to say that he acted as one of my role models, and hence I'm here as a speaker. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, do anybody have question? Anybody else? Okay, in the absence of any question, let me use this opportunity to invite our founder, the founder of Greenhard, to give us a closing remark. So the floor is open. We can't hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank Annie for accepting our invite. My appreciation also goes to Alex for also helping out with the logistics for this particular webinar. It is in the heart of our mind as Green Initiative and Humanitarian Aid and Development to promote gender equity, especially in green spaces. Because when you look at the green space, you discover that it is a male-dominated area. We talk of environmental sciences, we talk of climate change, we talk of forestry, botany, and so on and so forth. And we discover that women plays big role in the society. It is said that when you educate a woman, you educate the whole universe, you educate the whole earth, because women are the ones that are closer to children. They are the ones that help children with whatsoever they become in life. We discover that even as a person, most of the things we know are things we got from our mothers, because these are women that stay very close to us. And if we could bring women to the limelight as an organization, that means our task will be very easy. The task of creating environmental consciousness in humanitarian action and in development. So thank you very much. Annie, I think I met you first as a result of the book, the JTF book, alongside with Alex, and we were actually inspired by that book. Last week, I gave out 10 copies of that book to students who are just wondering about what forestry is, what career opportunities in this area. And of course, severally we've given out those books and we keep receiving testimony. So we're happy that you are here with us once again. And we also encourage you to keep on doing the good work you are doing all over the world. So I'm Dr. Onyeka Chichuku, and from here in Nigeria, I will say thank you and have a wonderful day, evening, and night. We don't know where you're watching from, but we love you. Really hard. Yes. Thank you. Okay, over to you, Mary Ann.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Onyeka, for your words. Really appreciate you. And once again, thank you to our amiable guest speaker, Annie. We thank you for your presentation. It was really nice. And to all that participated in this webinar, we really appreciate you guys. And this is where we are going to draw the curtain for this webinar. So please do have a...
I see there's a hand up. Alex, your hand is up. Can you?
Okay, Alex, the floor is open.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very grateful to listen to Annie today, and I'm glad that the presentation made many years ago was able to influence your reason for applying for the JTF position. I'm glad to see continuity of the testimonies of the book, and I wish to continue to do more as God give me the grace. So thank you so much for the commendation, as well as to the organizer for organizing this event. I say thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, do anybody else have reaction? All right, I think this is where we are going to draw the curtain for this webinar. Okay, do have a lovely day. Bye.
Bye. Bye.